Hello fellow collectors and welcome to Long's Toys. Today we are taking a look at the Change Heroes Toqger altar from Avataro Sentai DonBrothers. And what's very exciting with this one is, unlike the Don Momotaro altar, this one actually comes with the Avataro gear for the Toqger altar. So that's really cool. I really like the look of this. I like the blue. I think that's going to be a lot of fun. Artwork on the front of the packaging, beautiful, just like the one from yesterday. You can see that this is number 2. And we'll get to the ridiculousness that is this form in due time. Over here on this side, you can just see a picture of the Resha. Over here, it just kind of shows how you can connect all the pieces. And then, of course, on the back, it shows you the Resha and then the Don Momotaro altar, how they can combine into this form over here. Also, still advertising the Change Hero figures from Toqger up there in the corner. And then your basic warnings and whatnot down here. So I'm pretty excited for this one. Definitely excited to check this gear out in the Don Blasters. So without further ado, going to get everything out of the box and we'll take a closer look. So here's everything you get in the box. We will start over here with the Toqger altar Avataro gear. Very sparkly. I love that. Looks really, really cool. Nice picture of Tokyo Ichigo there. Have the plastic cover over top, and of course you have the gold chrome around the edge. And the gear is done in this kind of light translucent blue, which I really like. So we will come back to this more in a moment. And now we will take a look at these two pieces. We have the Resha, and then a boxcar maybe? I'm not really sure what this is supposed to be. It does have a tiny little hole here on the back, and then there's a peg here. So you just kind of drop it on there. It doesn't really peg in or anything like that. It just kind of rests on there. And then you can move this back and forth. You can kind of turn it a little bit. I mean, it does its job. It's not going to go flying off, but you can see that it comes off pretty easily. But just kind of moving it around. But yeah, so that's really all that it does on its own. The Resha looks kind of cool. It's probably about the same size as the Reshas from Toqger. So that's kind of neat. And it's got some nice paint applications. I will give it that. It's got a peach here on the back. But that's pretty much it. It's got some nice wheels on the bottom. This thing has wheels on the bottom, but really just doesn't do much. I mean, it has the nice yellow paint and then red paint for the signals here, but not really much else going on. So we'll go ahead and take these apart. So basically, you just pop this section off, and then you pop this section off of the front. And then for this, you have to kind of split it down the middle, and one piece will come off with each piece. So you just kind of grab this here, and that unpegs like that. And so now we are ready to go ahead and bring in the Momotaro altar. Alright, so we have our Don Momotaro altar here, and we are going to start by removing the sword and placing that off to the side, and then just completely removing the arms and placing those off to the side. And then we are going to take him at the waist and spin him 180, and then just point the legs straight back, just hanging out there like that. And then we are going to take these two pieces of the train, and underneath you can see that there's this little black piece here that's going to slide out and click into place. So do that on both of these. And then you can see that reveals a little peg, which you're going to come underneath and peg them into the back of the thighs. So just peg one in on this side, peg the other one in on this side. I don't think it matters which one you peg into which leg. Obviously one's going to have this piece hanging off the back, so whichever one you want that on, but otherwise I don't think it matters. And then you're going to take these kind of pincer things and just peg them on where the arms were. And so we will do that. And then the last step is to take the little front of the Resha and pop that on to the front. There's just kind of these two little clips here, and there's these two clips on the back, so it's just kind of clipping that into place. And it doesn't hold incredibly strong, which is good because when you want to remove it, you don't have to worry about breaking it. But yeah, that is the official altar form, which I believe is called Don Tokyu Momotaro. But you just have those legs just hanging off the back. I mean, that's kind of terrible. If you want, you have a couple options. You could kind of rotate these around and tuck it up, just so it's a little bit more compact. But that will kind of make him back heavy, and you can see he's kind of prone to falling over. But you could just remove him completely. I mean, we took the arms completely off, so we could just take the legs completely off as well. And then you just kind of have this little train guy here, which, I mean, it's not terrible. It's a little weird in my opinion, but I guess it's not terrible. I like it a lot better just taking the legs off. I think that looks a lot better, but it's still kind of weird. It's all right. What I've kind of come up with, just kind of messing around, I'm going to take this stuff off of here. And I'm going to zoom out here because I need some space. I'm going to give him his legs back. So I will pop that back on there like so. And then I'm also going to give him his arms back, because his arms have a lot of peg holes on the back. And I've seen some things online. I saw one where somebody took this and kind of did like wings here and put them on the back. And I actually think that looks kind of cool. So I kind of like that. Now, the only problem with that is it's kind of heavy on the back there, so it kind of makes these want to droop. But it will kind of hold the pose if you want. Now, he doesn't really utilize a lot of the other pieces with this kind of design. I was trying to figure out something to do with these. I really wish I could pop these giant feet off, and they had like a ball joint connector, and I could put these on as like new feet, because I just think that would look really cool. Like if I could push this in, and he just had like a little connection spot here where I could pop this in, and then he could have train feet. I just think that would look really cool. I wish that was a possibility, but unfortunately it is not. You can see there what I mean by the weight just kind of making those want to fall down, because they are kind of heavy. The other thing that I wish you could do, you can see how he's got these two spots here, and you can see that if I take these off, they have, well, these don't, because these are both of the connector spots. But these on the side here have pegs like this, and I was hoping I could do something like peg these in like this. But the problem with that is, because these are smaller, because they're meant to peg into this, they're just a little too loose for this connection spot, so they're not going to stay in, unfortunately. So that's kind of a bummer. So I don't know. I was really trying to play around with this a lot. There's not much you can do. You can kind of take the hands off here and kind of plug this in as kind of like a sword, which is not bad. You lose the elbow articulation when you do that, so it just kind of have to hang straight down. The other thing you could do is kind of take, let me bring this back, pop this back on. Oh, you know what? That's not the right one. I do that all the time. Where is it? Here we go. You have to line up the paint. Come on now. There we go. So you could take something like this, and because it does have this peg here, you could peg this into the arm like this, and then you could kind of have him wield like this kind of capture claw like that, and you could give him the two arms like this. If I go ahead and quickly put these back together. There we go. And then this would... See, the only problem is then this one would be... Wait, did I just assemble it backwards? I probably just assembled it backwards. Because I do that from time to time. No, you have to kind of do it like... No, this is right. This is right. I think this is right. Yes. There we go. Now I could connect this like so. And then you could give him the pincer claws like that, which then lets him have most of his arm. And he could still have the legs, or you could go ahead and give him the train feet again. So there's a few options of ways you can play around with this. None of them are that great. But what's interesting is the more of these we get, the more pieces we'll have, and then we can start to make some new and interesting things. So I'm kind of hoping the potential in the long run will pay off, because there's just not much you can do. And really, the Toqger or Don Tokyu Momotaro form, I don't love it that much. Honestly, I got to be honest. It's kind of terrible. Like I said, I really wish I could give him different boots, because one, these just stand out so much, and I just think having the trains as new feet would be cool, especially because they have wheels. And then you could do something with these, whether you use them as swords or pincer claws like this, or connect them on the back as wings. Something like that would be pretty cool. So, a couple things I wish I could do that unfortunately I can't, because even though it seems like all of the connections should be universal, sometimes they're not, and I've tried to peg certain things into each other, and I mean, like I showed with this, where they're just too small. Other ones are a little too tight. They still work, but just not that great. Like I was trying to have him hold one of these as a sword in his hand, and you can kind of do it. Like you can't really feed it in from the top, but if you kind of slot it in this way, it kind of works. And then you could have him wield that like a sword like that. But it's a kind of tenuous connection, so some of the connections just aren't as strong or just not quite the right size. So there are definitely ones that I believe they expect you to use, like these here, these on the back, stuff like that. But yeah, so whatever you can come up with, you know, you can play around. But so far, not a ton to do. Well, I mean, I shouldn't say not a ton to do. Not a ton that I could personally come up with that I really liked. Alright, so let's go ahead and pop the Toqger Alter gear into the Dawn Blaster. So really cool standby music there. You can hear that it says Don Tokyo Momotaro. Spinning this again does not do anything, and we can hit the button up top. There's not much. So you can hear that the attack sound is nothing unique. It just says Toqger before it goes into it. So not really anything new and interesting there. But I do really like the sound effect from the transformation, and I love the name Don Tokyo Momotaro. So this is an interesting one. I like the little Resha. I think that's cool. It's about the same size as the Reshas from Toqger, so I think that's kind of neat. The second half of it, the little boxcar trailer, whatever you want to call it, not really that great. Personally, I don't love the Don Tokyo Momotaro form. Love the name. I think that's great. But it's just not for me. I'm not saying it's terrible or it's bad or anything. And if you love it, I'm glad you do. It's just personally not my favorite. But I think really the playability and the fun that's going to come out of these is having a bunch of them. So you have a bunch of different pieces. So you can just kind of go crazy like Zord Builder style and make up some crazy, you know, monstrosity that can be a lot of fun. So I'm really hoping that's going to happen down the line. Absolutely love the Toqger Alter gear. I think that looks great. I love the light blue translucent gear. Sound effects in the Dawn Blaster are fantastic, so really like everything going on with that. And I did forget to show this off, but of course you can go ahead and pop it onto the peg on the back of the Don Momotaro Alter because it has the connection on the back, so I didn't show that off, but the directions do show after you put together Don Tokyo Momotaro to go ahead and pop the gear on the back, which of course you can do. I just forgot to show that off. But yeah, so like I said, definitely recommend picking this one up, mostly for the potential it has in the future, and definitely for the gear, because it's weird with the release of these. Some of these are in gear sets, some of these are with the altar, so you kind of have to, if you want to get the full set, you kind of have to pick this one up. I don't know if the Toqger Alter gear will show up in a candy toy or gashapon later on down the line. I don't think it has so far. I could be wrong about that, but from what we know so far, I don't think it is, so if you want it, you might have to grab this set. Luckily, it's not a terribly expensive set. I think it's like 15 bucks, something like that, so pretty reasonably priced. But like I said, I think the fun with this one is going to be down the road when we have more of these altars, and we can just kind of, whatever, you know, someone online who's way more creative than me will come up with some kind of awesome monstrosity, and it's going to be a good time. So let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Please like, share, and subscribe. Hope you guys enjoyed this video, and as always, thank you so much for watching.